A second. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to Dumb SEO Questions, episode 272. Each week we meet here to answer the questions asked on the SEO Questions community on Google+ and the Dumb SEO Questions Facebook group. With us today we have David Rozam. David is a leading internet marketer. He's a copywriter of about 30 or 40 years standing, and he's also been an SEO copywriter for 10 or 12 years. You can find David at writingforseo.org. He resides in the sunny south of England. We lost a couple of people then. Where'd they go? Well, there you go. Just out of Silicon Valley, not far on the west coast of the USA, Micah Fisher-Kirshner is head of SEO for Turn River Capital, or is it Turn River Holdings? Something like that. Close, yeah. Okay. Mike is a regular on the public speaking circuit. And it was Turn River Capital. Thanks, mate. Tim Capper is husband of Bodicea, and also he is owner and CEO of onlineownership.com. He's a member of the top contributors group of the Google My Business community. And as I said, he can be found at onlineownership.com. All right, let's check our first question. What's going wrong? Why won't my clicks work? That's because I'm an idiot. I was clicking the wrong place. After 5 years, I'm still clicking in the wrong place. God help me. Anyway, this one from Faith Dugan. It's an interlinking question. He said, if I do silo and link through my supporting post to my main post, do you choose exact keywords for the next post? Does it hurt, or are there any benefits? Can this happen theoretically if my supporting post gets stronger backlinks? If my supporting post gets stronger backlinks, it will outrank my main post for that keyword. Anchor text. I think he's overthinking it, but what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think because essentially you're not just going to have one. So you've got your landing page, which is your main page for Pink Fluffy Elephants. And then you write a post about the best, the best grooming techniques for pink fluffy elephants, right? And then you link through to your main product, your category, right? So what you're saying is, what happens if that article gets more than that? Well, there's two different things. In theory, you shouldn't be having a people aren't going to be people aren't going to be. There's a different result for pink fluffy elephants, buying them or whatever, to grooming techniques, right? Although it's pink fluffy elephants and you're linking it through to your pink fluffy elephants, yeah, two separate things. If, however, you've titled them exactly the same as each other, then you've got a problem, because you're just going to. But your supporting content, that you're targeting different types of long tail queries, what users want to know, what they want to find out, grooming techniques for pink fluffy elephants, the most cost, how to put your pink fluffy elephant to bed, the best pink fluffy elephant hairstyles for 2017. Do you see what I mean? All of those supporting things. And even if one gets like mega links, right, from the pink fluffy elephant fans out there, that will be appearing separately, not necessarily for pink fluffy elephants. It'll be appearing for how to groom a pink fluffy elephant, when to groom pink fluffy elephants, things like that. it should be standing on its own. It should hold its own, although all of that content leads you through to the main one for where to buy Pink Fluffy Elephants, your Pink Fluffy Elephant catalog. So overthinking it, but if you have got exactly the same titles of supporting and there, although albeit the URL might have a couple of words different in it, then you've got an issue, because then you're trying to rank for the same thing, which you shouldn't be. Your content is meant to widen the broader subject of what your actual product or category is.
Thank you, Tim. Anybody else want to add to that?
I think this probably amounts to what Tim has said, but I think Faith should just go ahead and do it, follow the instructions, and not worry about what might happen. If it happens, then tackle it. But if you go about it much as Tim has described, you shouldn't get that problem. So, as I say, just don't worry about it. Just get the content up there and working for you.
Excellent. Okay, thank you, Tim. Thank you, David. Jason Hyungchul Kang asked a question titled, "Is this considered a redirect chain?" He said, when I go to a client's homepage, it goes from http://xyz.com to https www.xyz.com, then redirects again to www.xyz.com/n-us, and then to https, oh my goodness, www.xyz.com / is this correct? Considered a redirect chain? Yes. And is this a big problem? Well, it's a waste of resources.
Yeah, I mean, it's a chain. It's not, like, I've seen this pretty commonly. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a big problem. Most likely the redirects are fast and Google kind of generally understands where things are going, but it's definitely something that should be fixed. You want to avoid having to jump through multiple redirect hoops where possible. So you'd want each of the ones before the last secured version, so the first two, I guess, to go directly to the final resolved URL. Now, one of the things to make sure of is that ENUS is not being done is really not changing up often. So like, I always get worried when I see like a geo filter or a geo redirect potentially like that. So you want to make sure that it is consistent, and particularly as Googlebot is mostly still coming from the US, and you want to make sure that Googlebot's not being potentially redirected only to the US, and then thus can't see any of the other international domains on top of that. But if that's just not the case, and that's just whatever your standard URL is, then yeah, if you could get it fixed to go to just the final resolved URL for the first two, it'd be good.
Yeah. All right, anybody else? All right, so let me tweet that and we'll go to the next. This one from Dakuta Lujan asks, does .com rank better than the rest? Certainly has a higher click-through ratio than the rest because people just naturally trust .com. They're used to seeing it.
Well, yeah, but it also depends on where country. Some countries are going to be more used to or prefer the specific country TLD. So on its own, does .com rank better? Well, not really, but in let's say like people are more likely to type in the .com and to assume your site's on a .com and link to it. So there is a possible ancillary effect of just happenstance, but there's nothing on its own to say treat .com as better than any other TLD. So that itself, I wouldn't be something to worry about.
Okay. Just also can't leave this question without thanking people like Simon Cartier and Richard Hearn, forum heroes that answer questions on the Facebook group or on the SEO Questions community on Google Plus through the week. The contribution is greatly appreciated. All right, let's tweet that. We'll go to the next. This one from Sandra Seal Mabartha is titled, "What's the strategy for Google Maps embed in a website for local SEO?"
There isn't essentially a strategy because generally it's in a frame anyway. But the strategy is so that your customers know where the heck you are. They can click through to the larger map and they can see where you are. They can get directions, etc. That's the strategy to get your customers to you. What you should be doing though is you should also include HasMap from the actual map. So if you go into the map and you drop down, you get share link, and then you do shorten link, you get a long one, but you include that as a HasMap, which is a direct link to the actual business page in Maps. So one, customers can actually click through from all pages, and two, it's in your structured data markup, which basically defines your location, to Google where this business is. So it's pretty crucial in that sense. But in terms of embedding it itself, that's for customers so they know where you are.
Thank you, Tim. All right, let's call it an answer for Sandra Seal. And our next is from Arithmol TP. How to get an SEO certificate from Google?
You don't. They don't offer one.
Someone telephoned me the other day and said that they had one.
Okay. Well, Arithmol was answered through the week by Sash Meyer, who's conspicuous by his absence. I thought we were going to see more of Sash, and we'd look forward to seeing him come back. All right, I'll tweet this and we'll go. This one from Michael Tigulo. What is the latest link prospect strategy? And we've been joined tonight by Tatsat Savsani, and Tatsat pointed out something I hadn't noticed. Have you guys seen that SEMrush has a link prospecting tool? Under the project section, open up a project, open up a product, and you'll see it as one of the beta tabs. Looks good.
I'll have to take a look.
Yeah. All right. Okay. The latest link prospect strategy. Who's got a strategy? Who's got any prospects?
I don't outreach. I don't outreach. I mean, I don't outreach. I create freaking awesome content around all sorts of things. And then generally people that want that content for that particular client, et cetera, whoever it may be, you know, 9 times out of 10 is either contacting me direct, wanting to do a cross-marketing campaign, or they contacting the business direct, obviously, because that's where this, you know, the content is, wanting to do cross-marketing, et cetera, et cetera. Well, it's not link prospecting, but obviously once you publish something, you don't just publish the content and leave. You know, you got to market it, you got to push it out there, etc. So that's it's not really link prospecting, but in a way, you're getting it out there in front of people who ultimately may or may not link back to it. So I suppose that could, in a roundabout way, be thought of as link prospecting. But yeah, I mean, I stopped sending emails 12 years ago, mate.
You're not that old, eh?
Cheers.
All right. Anyone with anything to add to that? Okay.
Actually, I lie. I still send. I lie. I still send out brand. So when you've taken on a new, client, and you're running through, you know, it's always it's quick, easy, low-hanging fruit to see if people have mentioned them but not linked through. But so that's very early days when you get a client and you're looking at for low-hanging fruit. So, well, I suppose that is link prospecting. You do send them an email. They've already published something, you see. So it's not as if you want to publish something, or yeah. So
yeah, fair enough. Right, JL Faverio asks us, does Google favor blog posts over pages? Most social sharing plugins default to blog posts only. The AMP plugin by WordPress is for blog posts only. Isn't the code for a page and a blog post nearly the same?
In of itself, no. There's something that per se that Google favors of blog posts over blog pages. It's more about like, does a specific page make sense given certain context and what people are searching for? But really, it's not necessarily the page format per se that's doing that, but more of the content and how that's structured. So even then, it's not necessarily just like the pages, but just like what is the content about? How is it being linked to? So yeah, use what's more what you think is appropriate for the users rather than like the exact page. So I would kind of go more along that line than I would just be like, is a specific post preferred over a page? I think if you look at the results, you'll have a good context for what's generally likely to be a good answer, and how you build that can be kind of more flexible than you might perceive. But yeah, I wouldn't worry if you feel like you can put in an amazing amount of content that's going to provide the right answer and the best answer, and it's on a post or on a page, whichever you feel is going to be more appropriate, go for that.
Thank you, Micah. Yeah, I think that's covered it. Let me tweet that. We'll head on. Okay, another one from JL Faverio. A client has 5 locations in the state. He has one website, but many city-specific pages within the website. So for each of their Google My Business listings, should I have the website button go to the home page or a city-specific page?
It should all go to the city-specific location page. If that's, if that city, because theoretically on that location page, you're listing that, that they may have differences, let's just say, they're fluffy elephant suppliers. But the first location doesn't sell pink fluffy elephants. That's in, that you tell them. But they do actually do grooming products, whereas location. So, they should be completely unique to that location. You could even make them unique in the sense that you have a little bio on who the store manager is for that particular thing. Of course, that page contains their name, the name, the address, their opening hours, direct contact, so direct email, direct telephone number, map embed. So essentially, if someone has found something on maps, right, you don't know what they're specifically looking for. They could literally be getting, some better directions or some more information, right? If they click through and then they find that they land on the big brand's overall page, they like, then they've got to literally, they either abandon if they can't quickly find that location again, because they specifically wanted some information on that. So yes, your GMBs should link through to that specific location's landing page. If the user then wants to check out other products or other things within the brand, then they're free to do so. But they were specifically looking at a business at a specific location. So it makes sense for them to then land on that business at that specific location.
Yep. Cool. Anybody want to add anything to that?
And the other thing is, seeing as we're talking about linking from the GMB page, also use UTM tracking on your GMB page, because the Google Insights and Analytics, if you don't do the UTM tracking, you can't specifically track it. So just make sure that's in.
Thank you, Tim. All right, question number 9 on our run list tonight is setting expired by from Neil Cheeseman. He said, anyone able to help? The setting expired by, etc., which works fine across the website, but on the home page, there is daily updated content, and with expired by set at a future date, the only way to get the home page to display up-to-date content is to hit refresh. Is there a way around this?
Normally I see expired by as like for the specific page itself. If you're just looking to have the homepage updated with the latest content, just set a standard process of having Google recrawl the page. But in general, the page should be recrawled pretty frequently. So like that in theory is a larger issue if your homepage is not being recrawled and updated that often. But that's, you've got Search Console for that. You can go in every day or set a process up that automates it. So you fill in the crawl and index, and just for that page, and then the content will be daily updated. Now, that's assuming that's what you mean when it comes to from the Google's end versus some other way. But just, like that should, in theory, provide what you need. Just make sure it's not, I think there was just a mention today by Google or from John Mueller, not to like make a significant part of your page always updated every day, because it makes it harder for Google to make a determination of what your content is for the site or for the homepage, what it's about. So if it's just a small section, not an issue. But if a lot of your content on the homepage is being updated daily, then that might make it more difficult for Google to understand what the concept of what your homepage is about.
Thank you, Micah. All right, let me tweet that if I can find my mouse. Number 10 on our run list from Darlene J. Hanchett on the Canonical pointing to the home page on every page. Darlene said, okay, we are completely stumped, and I'm hoping I'm just having a moment. We submitted our domain in Search Console. We've uploaded our sitemap, and all pages are index follow. The site was launched a year ago, and all was fine until the 1st of December last year. Now, Google Search Console only shows 7 pages being indexed and 368 submitted. In the new Google Search Console, we get some more info that 252 pages are crawled, currently not indexed. The site is over a year old, and I am dumbfounded. If you have any thoughts, please PM me. Please don't do that again, Darlene. I'll send you the URL. Plus, tell me I'm crazy, but I think our developer, brackets used lightly, put a rel canonical pointing to the home page on every page. We removed this from the site, and the question is, do you think this has something to do with it?
I mean, the comments have kind of noted it nicely. So, like, yeah, that's a bit of a problem. Google's generally pretty good about recognizing that might be a mistake. The Canonical is not a pure must follow for Google. It's suggestive, and if Google recognizes there's content differences, it will kind of ignore that usage. Now, that said, yeah, you want to get that fixed, because it might be looking at longer tail pages, not considered very worthwhile. It's like, all right, fine, we'll just have it knocked out of the index because you don't consider it to be worthwhile. So there's that part. Same thing goes for the robots.txt. If you're setting it site-wide to basically not crawl, that in different kind of ways, that can be pretty bad. I mean, Google does have some obvious exceptions to kind of like hold off if it's like, well, this looks like it might be a major mistake. Yeah, nonetheless, yeah, you're gonna want to get that fixed. So if you can get that as soon as possible, that should help with kind of crawling, indexing, and in theory ranking.
Yeah. The other thing is that I see Michael Stricker and Richard Hearn both gave good answers on the Dumb SEO Questions group on Facebook. But the other thing is that this only happened on the 1st of December, and Google Search Console is not real time. I wonder if Google's already sorted this and it's just not displaying the fact. We're losing you now, Micah. Have a safe journey to work, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Okay, buddy.
See you next week. Bye.
All right, let me tweet that. We'll go to the next. Dragomir Victor. has a few questions about the way of optimizing an online store page. Dragomir went on to say, hi, I have a few questions. My problem is like this. If I want to optimize with a keyword, a product, I can't because I have 10 products that are doing the same thing, but with different names. The names of the products are not keywords. All words are keywords. How do I optimize the page? I could make a description on the category, but not a big one, and my client doesn't want to have a description on the category. I could try with backlinks. What do we think, guys? I suppose David and I were talking about this one just before we started tonight. But I suppose he's meaning that his category page would be just simply a listing of the 10 products with shorter descriptions, leading to links to a product detail page with a larger description. The thing that stands out to me. Sorry, David, you go ahead.
I'm just agreeing with you, but I can go ahead. Yeah, I think there's a bit of muddled thinking here, or a bit of muddled interpretation on my part. I'll let you figure out which. If this is some kind of category, there will be something in common about these products. You know, this might be the fluffy elephant, if I may borrow them for the moment, Tim, the fluffy elephant category, and there may be 10 different coloured fluffy elephants or 10 different sizes of fluffy elephants. So there's likely to be some kind of keywording here, some kind of theme going on this page. I'm not sure whether I would do anything more than say to the client, we need a chunk of description to head up this page. I know that you've already gone there, but I tend to actually tell the client what needs to happen, because that's my role. And if I think that's right, that's what I will tell them. And hopefully they won't take it on themselves to disagree with me, but they do sometimes. That's up to them. So I think I would allow the page to do its thing. I think I would allow the fact that these 10 products are somehow related to do what it has to do. As Jim said, we've got the names of products are not they are keywords. If someone is searching on extra large fluffy elephant, then that's a keyword. And if that's one of your products, then an extra large fluffy elephant will do the trick. So I would allow it to do its own thing, rather than try and mess with it, shall we say. Get some good content in the product pages, and get the site properly siloed. Get your internal links. I take it when you say backlinks, you're talking about getting some external links, which could get you into all sorts of problems. So I would get the site structured correctly and let this page do its own thing.
So he's also we're echoing again. You're saying the client doesn't want anything on the actual main category page for his fluffy elephants. Yeah, I mean, you should try and educate the client. However, I mean, if they're still being, you know, a pain about it, because I know some of them can, because they're funny enough, ironically, they always look at massive brands and go, oh, but they don't have anything on theirs. And it's like, okay, yeah, but they've got 25 million links to them, and their TV advertising budget is 75 million a year. So that's besides the point. They just see this like blank thing and go, yeah, but look, they can do it anyway. So assuming your boss wants to do this, and definitely what David was saying. So your products, obviously, I'm assuming your boss is allowing you to actually add content onto the product page, or the client. That's where you can go to town a bit, but be sure to. And obviously the product, let's say that the category is fluffy elephants. Your product would be, a pink fluffy elephant, and the next one, you don't want to have different colors, but it would be pink fluffy elephant. Then it would be the 10-inch trunked fluffy elephant. Then it would be the longer eared fluffy elephant. The different products. On those, certainly try and be a bit more descriptive and creative with your content there. And don't forget to interlink through back to the actual main category page, being the fluffy elephant top level. Equally, start getting more inventive with your content you produce on the side. Top 25 long-eared fluffy elephants for that sold or went viral in 2017, et cetera, and start really working the supporting content to, if you've only got 10 products, you're quite limited in that sense on what you've got going for you. You're really going to need to start building up. Can you do guides? Can you do like a huge guide on fluffy elephants? And in the guide, I'm talking about the long-eared, the long-nosed, the no-tailed, the fluffy ones, the bald ones, all the different colors you've got, their weights, the tech specs, how many times they like to be cuddled at night. Can you produce videos to go onto that guide page, right? And each time you're interlinking through to the particular category as well as the products within that category. So you need to, so even though, like the client or your boss has been, hindering you on the actual main sort of top line category, you need to be inventive, and see where you can create that supporting stuff, push it through. Ironically, I'm in a pretty similar situation with a client and it's not that they don't want to, it's just that this new site that they paid 20 grand for, they were ripped off completely by dickhead developers, and you can't do shit with this site. Essentially, ironically now, all the guides we've created literally drive all the traffic and all the sales. And the category pages and the products aren't even you might find them on page 2 or page 3. The guides drive all the traffic and sales now. So ultimately it's like, well, if you won't let me do that, I'm going to do this, because that's what's, that's how I can get you found. That's how I can, start driving traffic and driving sales. So, you've got to have that conversation with them, but then also say, but I had to do this because of this, I can't just magically, SEO is not smoke and mirrors. You have to physically have a strategy behind it, and everything needs to work. You can't just, hey, it's just magic. It doesn't happen like that. So be honest, and then have some, try and educate your client or your boss, whichever it may be.
Excellent, Tim. And the only thing I could add to that is don't try to fake it with backlinks. It's a temporary solution just before doom. Okay, let me tweet that, because I think that was an excellent question and an excellent answer, or an excellent pair of answers. Thank you, guys. Here is a question from Emma Lambert. Emma said, what is the best way to move this over to the new site? Emma said, hi everyone, can you help? I'm currently in the process of building a new website and moving existing content from our old website onto it. I've found that the current site has hundreds of 301 redirects currently in use, including links from old URLs, tag pages, etc. What is the best way to move these over to the new site? Can anyone recommend a way to export/produce a list of the 301 redirects? Another problem I've come across is that the site has over 600 old job pages, not in use, but with searchable URLs using a simple job board plugin, now out of date because of the current state of the website. I'm unable to view all of the URLs to move them onto the new site / create new redirects. Can anyone suggest a solution? Thank you very much.
So firstly, I'm not a dev, so not entirely. The first thing that we're looking at here is you're talking about all these. So you found old 301 redirects. Well, you kind of want to know where those 301s are going. Is the site not connected up to Search Console? But so, first, so your Search Console will help you with your 600 odd, job pages. The point is you don't have to redirect every single old URL, but the 100 that were there previously, you can either update them. So, for example, they'd be going from one old URL to another old URL. How many of them are going to the multiple same one, or are they, etc.? What was on that old URL? Does it have any equity in it anymore? The thing is, you don't have to 301 redirect just every nitty-witty, crap that you come across. You need to know what was there before. What you could do, seeing as I don't think this has gone live yet. You drop out those 301 redirects in your HT access, right? And then see what the hell's going on in Search Console, because they will start appearing as 404s. Then you'll be able to determine whether any of those 101, whatever, have any equity behind them. Because in Search Console, it'll bring up the 404 and you can see who's actually linking to it. If there isn't a single freaking external link to that page, no point. It doesn't really have anything in the mix. And you could just leave it as a 404 instead of creating more 301s in a new HT access for the new site. The job one, so I don't know how to export them, but I don't know. I mean, if they're in an HT access file, there's 101 of them, they should all be in the same list. So for me, it would just be a copy and a paste. If it's using some kind of plugin, has that plugin not got a download button available? Unfortunately, I don't know what you're using. You said there's a plugin. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you're using. The old job pages, 600 old job pages, not in use, but URLs. When you say not in use, I mean, is it not live? Is it 404? I don't quite understand when you say not in use. What is your Search Console telling you about those? Do they have any equity? If not, is this new? Is it going to have a new job board? I personally, when you say old, never been not in use, I'm 99% sure that those are all going to be crap, and they may as well just be 404, you know, just not even migrated. Yeah, so hopefully someone else will jump in and give you some more technical answers to your problem.
All right, so go ahead, David.
No technical ideas from here. I'm a writer, not a fighter or something. No. Jim, you're the man.
Well, look, the only thing I'd say is that if those 600 odd job pages and not being called up, if they're not being searched for, if there's no traffic to them, you don't have to worry. But if there is traffic to them and you want to make something of that, if they're created programmatically by the job board plugin, then you can certainly programmatically with a single line of code in your HT access, you can use regex, regular expression, to 301 redirect to them. The other thing is finding out, you know, you can look at your raw log files to see the original calls, to see, you know, where you're actually getting traffic from, and the other thing about a 301, if it's been in place for 4 or 5 years, it might be because there's a URL, a link from a valuable website linking to the site. Then you should contact that valuable URL and ask them to update to the new link. But if they're not getting traffic, and if there's no valuable backlinks, if a 301's been in place all that time, it's safe to assume that Google's happy with their new location, the 301 redirected location. That's about all I can add. There's no easy way to do this, Emma. It's just a matter of hard slog, line by line, and you know, I mean, the amount of value you extract from the changeover is directly related to the amount of work you put into preservation of any value in the old site, and transferring that to the new site. If you don't put any work into it at all, you're going to have a disaster on your hands, and the client asking where all their traffic went. It went to those pages. Well, you know, it's up to you to figure out which of those pages are actually getting the traffic and preserving them where you have to. But yeah, I wish I could say that there was an easy way to do it, but there really isn't. Other than, you know, taking advantage of regular expressions to save a little bit of work in redirecting those job pages. Sound good? I believe it anyway. Let's tweet that one and go to the next. This one from Ed Barnett. Are 2 sites better than one? 2 hair salons with a similar, not exactly the same name. One is in a main area city, the other in another town 8 miles away. Each has its own Google My Business maps/maps listing. They share owner, some stylists, products and services very slightly.
Well, they essentially sound different. I mean, it's not as if you're building a brand there. If you were building a brand, and that's what to do, they would be the same name. Obviously, you can't, you know, have the same stylist. It would have the same products and same services. So then it would make sense for one. But these don't sound like the guys trying to create a brand, and essentially are very unique in their own, apart from the owner. That's the only thing in common. So no, I would create two. But bear in mind, when you create two, you need to maintain two. So
yep. Thank you, Tim. Must thank Jason Duke for his valuable answer through the week. Jason was on a couple of weeks ago. We'd love to have him back again. All right, let me tweet that. Here's one from Jason, another one from Jason Hyen Shul Kang. Jason said, I have a dumb SEO question. Sorry if this has already been answered before. Well, they've all been answered before, Jason, but that's the fun of doing this job. We're trying to make answers and find that they haven't varied over time. He said, so my client has two property versions that are present on Google Search Console, HTTP and HTTPS. It is an HTTPS site, but looking at the source code for the homepage, the Canonical is being pointed to the HTTP version. Therefore, if I'm correct, I should be looking at the stats for the HTTP version, but the HTTPS property has the larger data, index status, and traffic. So I'm confused which version I am supposed to look at.
well, you know, they shouldn't be using a Canonical in the HTTPS site to try and send it back to the HTTP. Your first thing I would suggest is not worry about which one to be looking at. Incidentally, you should be looking at the HTTPS because that's what your site is served on. You can still the HTTP because that helps you just monitor any migration issues, you know. And it sounds like there is because you reckon that there is still data on the HTTP version. So you've certainly got a different, and one of them, you know, like this Canonical, I'm pretty sure Googlebot's ignoring that. You know, you've obviously had to do in your htaccess a proper redirect from HTTP to HTTPS for it to be showing. I'm pretty sure Googlebot's ignoring the Canonical in the pages back to the HTTP. Pretty sure they are. But that would be your first job to speak to the dev and, you know, get rid of that. If you're on your HTTPS, the site was migrated from HTTP, it's migrated, everything's properly, you know, the Canonicals, I'm pretty sure it's been ignored, but you may as well just remove that. Secondly, if it's being displayed on HTTPS, that's the one you should worry about, but don't just get rid of the HTTP because, like, as you said, it's showing data, still showing data, which means there's an issue with the migration somewhere Googlebot is still finding the HTTP versions of, you know, URLs still indexed somewhere. I'm going to hazard a guess, and even for a wild guess, and I bet you that the HTTP version still got a sitemap added to Search Console. You know, let's you know. So yeah, that's what you need to worry about firstly, and look at.
Thank you, Tim. Okay. You know, let me just add that if there's stats on HTTP and HTTPS on Google Search Console, which version are you supposed to look at? Both of them. But as Tim said, I would. Google is probably ignoring the canonical, but first of all, you should check that. I mean, if you've still got HTTP versions, still showing up. And if you look at a site query operator and see that you've got a large number of HTTP pages still indexed, and that's an indicator that you've mucked up, or somebody that has mucked up the 301 redirects. So once you decide to make a site HTTPS, you should redirect with a single action all traffic to HTTPS. Well, that's if you decide that's what you want to do. If you want the site to be HTTPS, and who doesn't these days with the current actions with Chrome, etc. All right, let me tweet that, and we'll go to the next. Oh, I've already done it. I am such an idiot. JL Favario asks his third question of the night. It's titled Bing versus Google. He said he found a website with 600 plus indexed pages in Google, but in Bing it has nearly 4,000. Why such a huge difference? This is a Drupal website.
Well, you can download from your webmaster. I'm assuming you say webmaster tools. You can download your index pages from Google Search Console, and you can also download your index pages from Bing Search Console. And then you just compare. You know. I don't know why there's such a huge difference.
They could have a parameter like a query string operator that Google is ignoring and Bing is not, maybe.
Or Google's honoring something maybe and Bing's not, yeah, vice versa. It could be one of, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's tweet that, and actually I won't. Misleading title. All right, Neil Cheeseman asked, is this still recommended for an HTML sitemap? When would somebody use no index follow in a robot's meta tag? I see this on Google HTML sitemap generator plugin by Arne Brackel, and not sure how to make it indexed. Having created an HTML sitemap, what do you do with it? Simply place a link on the website as fetch, or fetch and render surely won't work in Google Search Console. I don't know what Neil means by that.
Well, if you've created a sitemap, you can Search Console has a specific section to add your sitemap.
Sorry, Tim, this is not an XML sitemap. This is an HTML sitemap. What do you think he means when he says simply place a link on the website as fetch or fetch and render surely won't work in Google Search Console.
What I think it means is, like, let's say you've, I think it means it's just like place, you know, have an actual link in the website called sitemap, and then you click through to it, and then it shows you the sitemap of the different sites. I think what he means is just what he's trying to say is actually use fetch and render on that sitemap page.
Yeah.
Just a bit of the question here is, what do you do with an HTML sitemap? In the past, and I haven't seen it done recently, I've seen HTML sitemaps put on 404 pages.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's still a good idea. It's not something I've done myself, but I have seen it.
Well, it certainly makes the 404 page more useful, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. If you want to wade through lines and lines of links. Maybe I should do it.
Normally with a HTML sitemap, it'll have the page titles listed on the page, so it's a bit more user-friendly than a page of links.
Yeah, but I mean names of pages with a blue underline link, not an HTTP or HTTPS link.
Okay, let's go to the next, number 17 on our run list. Oh, we've done it again, guys. We've answered all of the questions asked on the Dumb SEO Questions Facebook group, and also the SEO Questions community on Google+. Now we're on to our news section, which I'm trying to re-implement. And if anybody has a post of news to the SEO community, please post it on our SEO news community on Google+. And we'll discuss it at the end of our broadcast after we've answered all the questions. This little bit of news was that there was a bit of a kerfuffle between Rand Fishkin and Danny Sullivan over John Mueller's statement about subdomains versus subdirectories. And we had comments from the SEO community. Some I thought were valid, others I thought were ridiculous. But the thing I wanted to say was that, of course, it's in Google's interest for people to use subfolders instead of subdomains. But as I said there, isn't it all subdomains? www and an m dot are subdomains, and even the root domain of domain.com, it's a subdomain of the .com TLD, the top level domain. So it's all about subdomains, but if people use, well, I don't know what you guys think, but I think that a subdomain carries more power than a down level folder, and it's more useful. You can interlink it. You can magnify your links using your own linking. I can understand why Google would not want everybody using subdomains, but I've found them very useful over the years.
This is a bit odd. I seem to remember that John Mueller said something about this some time ago, you know, like early last year or something, when someone asked about whether a subdomain or a subfolder was preferable for putting a blog in. I think the question was, or maybe that's too specific. And he said it doesn't matter. This is him saying the same sort of thing again, is it? Because I haven't watched the video.
He basically said they're, you know, much of a muchness, not one over the other, and you know, basically what John Mueller said was non-contentious, but Rand seemed to think that he was avoiding something. I don't know. Yeah.
Because the takeaway I got from before was use whichever was more convenient for yourself. You know, it didn't really matter too much for Google because both would be crawled and indexed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for a webmaster, subfolders require zero maintenance.
Yeah.
Whereas a subdomain, but I mean, there's reasons why you'd use a subdomain. That it may be that you need to put your shopping cart on a subdomain, and really a WordPress site, you really wouldn't want a shopping cart on your main domain on a WordPress site. Particularly because you wouldn't get you wouldn't be able to justify your Pix1 certification, yeah. Anyway, I just thought it was interesting that we get all of this excitement, and in fact. What I thought was funny was one well-known SEO, not naming names, but he jumped up and said, "Oh, it's terrible that we're all arguing," and he just spent the last 6 weeks arguing with everybody. Anyway, I thought pot kettle black. Anyway, look, we've just bored our last viewer out of the picture. He got sick of us talking, David. He's gone.
Oh, they got sick of you talking. They quite like me.
As soon as I start talking, people drop off. We had quite a few on tonight. All right. Well, it's that time again. If you're watching this at a later time, thank you for your participation. Your interest in what we do makes what we do worthwhile. We'll be back at the same time next week to do this all again. But